Howdy folks, hope you're all having a good one, and welcome back to Teenagers in Space, where the good news is, we're on the surface of Mars. And the bad news is, we're on the surface of Mars. However, we have found a rover, so we're not in immediate danger of dying. We have enough breathable air to at least get us to Ark habitats, and find out just exactly what the hell happened here. And if there's anything we can salvage from it. Remember, the whole point of us being here in the first place was not so Cat could resolve her daddy issues, but for us to find technology that could be used to help restore the Earth's biosphere. Right now though, since we are in a rover and it definitely has a much more powerful radio transmitter than the one installed in our suits, it might be worth giving that a try. Let's give it a shot once we get out into the open.
Kathy, Claire, are you receiving this?
Yes, thank God. I can hear you.
Cat, good to hear your voice again.
Kathy, Claire.
She didn't.
I'm so sorry. I don't know what to say.
Please, I don't. Let's just get to those arcs and continue the mission. Please.
We just made it to the big monolith. Where are you?
I managed to salvage a rover. I'm heading to the arc now.
Good. See you soon. And Cat, if you need to talk, I'm here.
No, I'll see you soon.
There's a working elevator underneath that will bring you right to us. We're waiting for you to go further. Stay safe.
And I'll catch you next time. Yeah, right now, there's a thing here that needs investigating. What is that? What's that rock outcrop? It looks really out of place. Oh, was that the other escape? It is the other escape point. Okay. Yeah. Well, lucky them landing this close to the Ark. I don't know why I feel compelled to look for anything valuable and useful around here, but you have to figure that there was nothing valuable or useful in my escape pod, and if there'd been anything valuable and useful in this one, Ryan and Claire would have taken it with them. I suspect the purpose of that rock monolith right next to it is just because it did look very out of place, and it was the first thing that caught my eye, and that's probably exactly why the developers put it there, to make sure that you didn't miss this escape pod. Which is fair enough. So, a couple of you were asking in the comments of the previous video, Jingles, are you actually enjoying playing this game? Because all you seem to do is pick holes in it. Well, yeah, I am enjoying playing it. I think this is a good game. But that doesn't mean I'm going to give it a free pass when there are holes in the science. Right? You know, especially in a game where, yeah, it's science fiction, but it's kind of at least loosely based on real science. It's one of the reasons why I love the TV show The Expanse so much, because they took the science seriously, and when you're basing your whole thing in that kind of setting, you kind of have to. Otherwise, it's not believable. And they haven't done a bad job of it in this game. Far from it. In fact, the game was actually developed in collaboration with the European Space Agency. Now, that doesn't mean they had rocket scientists checking every line of code, but they certainly had assistance from people who actually build rockets for a living. It does mean, though, that when there's a glaring hole in the science, I'm not going to let them get away with it. Anyway, almost at the Ark, and I have to confess, things are not looking great. The habitat domes that we passed on the way in, I want to take a closer look at those. Alright, this is as far as we can take the rover. So, before we head up to the Ark, let's just have a quick look around. Oh, right, those thrusters deployed from the side of the Ark. When we were at Ark Labos up in orbit and I realised that the thrusters were pointing straight at the solar cells, I had a bit of a chuckle. That's the sort of thing I'm talking about. What I thought was a hole in the science, which turned out not to be, because those are landing rockets. And the solar cells wouldn't be deployed when they were landing, so what I thought was a hole in the science actually turned out not to be. Meanwhile, down here on the surface, this place is wrecked. I mean, it doesn't look like a permanent settlement. These are temporary hab domes. But they clearly haven't been used in quite some time. I mean, look at that. It's in bits. This raises questions, though. Because when you're operating in a closed ecosystem, as they would be, you don't just let resources like that decay and fall apart. So what the hell happened here? Because this is just... it's been abandoned. Without even attempting to salvage any of the resources. And you don't leave useful life-saving gear like hab domes to rot unless you don't need them anymore. But even if they didn't need them anymore, you'd expect Martian colonists, I mean on a hostile alien planet, to at least put them into storage against any future need. And the fact that they didn't would suggest that they had bigger and better things to take care of. More pressing concerns. And whatever those more pressing concerns were, we're not going to find out here in this abandoned habitat. So, onwards and upwards into Ark habitat. They said there was an elevator at the base. Is that it? Like right in the middle of all of those rocket clusters? Must be. Yep, there's a button there. Yep, that's it. Alright. My initial thought on seeing that massive internal volume cargo elevator, look at that, was that's an awful waste of internal volume. But I suppose if you're transporting heavy equipment, engineering equipment, habitation domes, you know, the kind of stuff that you'd need to build a working colony and a functioning mine, for example, as we saw in the previous episode at Herschel, yeah, you would need a really big cargo elevator. So, yeah, again, something that initially looked like a bit of a gap in the science does have a logical explanation. Anyway, I mean, this is obviously unpressurized, so I need to find an airlock. Well, there's something over here I can scan. They look like broken and disassembled rovers. Yeah, Ares rovers, or at least the suspension. Okay, there's an airlock door there, but before we go through it, let's just have a quick look around. I'm not in immediate danger of running out of oxygen. Oh, it looks like there's another airlock door over here. Not seeing anything else. Right, let's use the airlock and oh, it's Ryan.
Hey,
Hey,
you can open up your visor. There's air here.
the facility I passed through also still had oxygen. How is that possible?
No idea.
Where's Sarah?
She's, resting a bit further down. There's a door that you need to hook up to a stream point to go further. I know you might not want to hear it now, but Claire was one of the greatest people I've ever met. I know how much she meant to Sarah, and I can't even... I'm so sorry.
Let's just keep going.
Lead on, Macduff, while I have a quick look around and see if there are any collectibles or things that need investigating. Not seeing anything obvious just yet. I do like the way this thing's designed, though. I mean, it all looks real. Oh, another airlock. Good. It's nice to see that they're taking precautions in case of an internal pressure loss.
Hey,
Oh, hello, Sarah.
We need to get this door.
you okay?
We had a really rough landing. Flared up a road injury.
I'm fine.
You're not.
I said I'm fine.
Yeah, and Ryan said you're not, and based on the evidence, I'm inclined to go with his diagnosis.
We need to find some meds. Can you get the RP hooked up?
On it.
Because honestly, you don't look fine. Right, so we need to get through that door. There's a power transmitter through there. We just need to laser the bolts. I don't know why we need to constantly laser the bolts. You'd think there'd be a button that you could press to just deploy it. But then I wouldn't have a cool wrist laser. Yeah, it's fine. Right, so that pushes out 3 points of power. That requires 2. That requires 1. That requires 2. Ha. What's this? What is that?
Splitter. I can split one MP2
Ah.
into 2 and reduce the power output with this.
Okay.
Should come in handy.
That puts out 3. That requires 1. That requires 2. I think I see the solution to this problem. But how does this thing work? Okay, so split the beam one to there, the other one to there. Just place this here, I suppose. How do we do that? Press F. And fire the transmitter into the splitter. That should work it. Except it didn't. Wait, this doesn't make any sense. 3 points of power are providing 2 points of power to that and 2 points of power to the other one. But I'm only putting 3... Have we just solved all of Earth's energy problems? We're generating free energy from nothing. Oh, you see, this is what I was talking about. Holes in the science. Okay, so we're getting 4 points of energy from a thing that's only putting 3 points of energy out. I think I can see what needs to be done here. So, and there's... Okay, the door hasn't opened for me. And it's still putting 2... Okay. So, I need to switch that one to there. Right, so that's opened that door. So what's going on in here? Because it's only partially opened the first door. Clearly the door's buggered. Can I get under there? Because there's another piece of equipment in there that I'm obviously going to need, and no, I cannot squeeze through that easily squeeze throughable gap. Alright, fine. Oh, what's that? What was that? It stopped me while I was scanned before it would let me through. Okay. Well, there's an airlock. Oh, hang on a second. I see a vent. Ayla, I've got a job for you. Thing is, if I couldn't squeeze through the gap under that door, how is Ayla going to get that thing through the gap under the door? I mean... Okay. Alright. Fair enough. So is this another beam splitter? It looks like another beam splitter. Why don't I just plonk it down here? You know, against all the laws of physics. God damn it, game, and you were doing so well up until now. Okay, never mind. Doesn't matter. Just pretend you didn't see that. So, right. So now we need to power up this beam splitter, presumably. Let's see how much power we can get out of this one against all the known laws of energy preservation. So that needs 1. Okay, that's 1. That's good. And... Ah. Alright. Oh, wait a minute. I didn't get stopped for a scan before I moved. Yeah, we need power to that one. Oh, but that's alright, because we don't need power to that door on the left anymore. Yeah. And that's receiving 2. So, this one. That should do it. Yeah. Job done. Yeah, it's working now. So I got that door open.
Great job, Kathy.
Check out all the Martian propaganda posters. I'm definitely detecting the hand of MacArthur in all of this. Oh, what's happening here? What are you all staring at? That is a really big room. does seem like an awful waste of internal volume. Wait a minute, am I seeing staircases? Staircases? On a spaceship? Oh my god. No. Oh, come on. Really?
Have you ever seen anything like this?
I can't say that I have.
It's incredible.
You say incredible. I say absolutely ridiculous. And I'll explain why in a moment. If you haven't already figured it out for yourself.
What is that?
Well, whatever it is, it's important enough that they simply refer to it as the engine. Well, it's like situated in the middle of the bridge, too.
It looks active.
You think there's people up there?
Only one way to find out.
Elevator's out. Ryan, are there any stream points on that map we can use to hook it up to the emergency power?
Yes.
That's good news.
Well, I've got some bad news, too. The only point seems to be on the top floor. There's a staircase going all the way over there.
Well, of course there is.
Sarah, are you able to... I guess that's a yes.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with having a staircase on a spaceship. As long as you have some kind of bulkhead door that you can use to seal it off between every deck in the event of a catastrophic pressure loss. Pressure loss, for example, that might be caused by one of those massive structural weaknesses in the hull of the ship. Structural weaknesses that non-engineers refer to as windows.
Okay, you need to take it easy.
No, I need to...
Look. The map said there's a medical wing on the way up. We're gonna find you some painkillers, and then we're gonna get that elevator back up and running. All right? Kat, how's this floor looking?
Abandoned.
I don't think we should separate. It's not a good idea.
We don't have a choice.
Once again, Ryan's right. Bad ideas are all we have left.
I'll be back as fast as I can. Okay? Mzadi?
Okay.
That's not a reassuring sign.
No.
No, it's not. That's a barricade. That wreckage didn't end up there by accident. This place is starting to look like Hadley's Hope on LV-426. Right.
Everything's clearing up. Might be quicker that way. Hopefully.
Yeah. Sure.
So, we're looking for pregabalin, gabapentin, or amitriptyline. Or anything with the words anticonvulsant or narcotic analgesic on it.
You're gonna have to just repeat that list if I find something.
So, here's my big problem.
I know Sarah was quiet about what happened, but Claire was one of her closest friends. I want you to know that.
It's fine, Ryan. She always kept me at arm's length.
There's something she finds difficult about. She's been having nightmares. Coming here is bringing back some stuff she's had to work through for a long time. And can I be honest with you?
Sure.
She's afraid of finding your father here.
Oh. Really?
Yeah.
Why did she come on this mission? She could have just stayed back on Earth, right?
Sarah cares. A lot. Too much, even. Stopping that woman from doing her duty to save this world is nearly impossible.
Right.
So, yeah, and just when the game was really starting to do so well for itself, After I made that big speech about respecting the science. They go and do this. So this is an interplanetary colonization ship. I mean, let's just talk about the windows first. So, yes, windows. Things that engineers refer to as massive structural weaknesses. First, you cover the entire hull in these things. And not only are there structural weak points, but they let cosmic radiation through. So there's that. And then there's this. I mean, come the fuck on. You get one breach in the hull and the entire ship is exposed to vacuum because you've got no airlocks. You've got nowhere to seal the bulkheads between decks. Hell, you don't even have decks. You've just got this massive single internal space. It's like a single pressure hull submarine. You know, you get one breach and you've lost everything. A problem that could be easily prevented by just putting a couple of bulkheads in between decks, or even having decks in the first place and separating them with airlocks. I mean, it's not like they don't have the space for it. That's the opposite of the problem that they have. What's this? Another recording. Cave-in at Herschel. People died. Yeah, it looks like things were not going well. I mean, clearly things were not going well. This, I'm assuming this is Ark Habitas, by the way, the habitation Ark. But things have clearly not been going well here. Everybody's gone. We don't know where they are.
I'll make a note of this.
People have been barricading staircases. Delay your period by up to... No, that's clearly not the stuff we're after either. Alright, tell you what, let's actually stop and think about this. Let's try to make sense of what doesn't appear to make any sense on the surface. Let's try to plug a hole in the sides. So, and again, I'm assuming that this is Ark Habitas, because there were three. Ark Vita, or Vita, I'm not sure how you pronounce it, which by the sound of it, I'm assuming was producing the food for the colony. Labos, which is up in orbit, providing power for the colony, at least at first. It had been switched off and abandoned as well. Written in a foreign language. That's Dutch. I don't speak Dutch, but I did learn Afrikaans, which is basically very, very similar. And that first sentence says, I love you. I'm not sure about the rest, though. Any swamp Germans out there in the audience who can help out and translate the rest? But anyway, back to the subject of the Arks. Trying to make sense of this. So, 3 Arks. Labos in orbit, power generation. Habitas, presumably the one that we're in now, on the surface, the habitat. And Vita, or Vita, I'm just going to call it Vita, the one stolen by Isaac. Although that's clearly here, somewhere, because Isaac was here. So, why would they make such a terrible design for a spaceship? Oh, hang on, what's this? Rosa's family photo. Oh, Rosa's the doctor, by the way, who was against the whole coming to Mars thing, but basically got kidnapped and dragged here against her will by MacArthur. What's that? Huygens Research Facility coin. You keep seeing a lot of Dutch things in this game, don't you? The message scrawled on the back of the note in Dutch, the reference to the Huygens Research Facility, named after the Dutch astronomer. The development team were Dutch, so it's probably not surprising that you keep seeing all these Dutch Easter eggs scattered throughout the game. Did I just see a vent on the wall there for Ayla to get through, right next to a door that's open anyway? Well, I suppose there are going to be vents all over the place. They don't have to just be in places where you need to send Ayla through them. There's another memory in here apparently, so let's get this decrypted. Oh, got to do it again. Okay, that's 1. Oh, here goes number 2. And number 3. Got it.
You'll all be escorted back to your chambers. Report to your superiors for the graveyard shift. I'd heard you got an Isaac to help you out on this little project. A project I made very clear wasn't going to happen.
People need help, William.
People need to work. If they spend nights here and off the work rosters, it only halts the progress even more. Besides, We need to keep this wing open for pregnancies.
Ah yes, all the pregnant women in the colony. Best leave some beds open to them, rather than real people who need real rehabilitation.
But I didn't walk in on rehabilitation, did I? What did I walk in on, Rosa? Opposition?
This place is collapsing, William. The dust storms are wearing down our walls and roofs. The mutations in Odom speak for themselves. We are cooped up inside on a planet we shouldn't be on. There is no way this will work. We have to return to Earth.
These hardships are the cost of evolution and progress. We will push through.
After everything that's happened over the past few years, do you seriously think that we're better off here than we were on Earth?
Security will be down to put everything back the way it should be in an hour.
Thanks for the backup.
I'm sorry.
I don't understand you, Isaac. You hear the same voices in the hallways. We've put years into this place and it's not working. Not enough space, not enough food, not enough progress. Why are you staying quiet?
It's just not that simple.
People left their families to come here. You left your family to come here. Isn't it time you saw them again? Isaac, wait. I'm sorry.
So, for some reason, MacArthur is not getting the loyalty that he expected from the Doctor that he kidnapped, dragged across interplanetary space against her will, and marooned on Mars. Funny thing. And it looked... Did they build a prison on board this ship? Those look like jail cells. Looks like Dr. Rosa is not the only one, or was not the only one, who was unhappy with the situation. Yep, they've been locking people up, forcing them to work 20-hour shifts, in dangerous conditions. They've been running out of food. Suddenly the barricades on the stairwells are starting to make a lot of sense. Turns out not everybody was happy with MacArthur's glorious 5-year plan. What's this?
Gotta make a note
Prison
of this.
accounting terminal. Yep, they set up a makeshift prison in medical. It's funny how, as soon as things start to go wrong, dictators start running out of ideas and just fall back on the old methods, isn't it? What we got here? Well, this doesn't make any sense. We've got an MPT power transmitter. A very strong MPT power transmitter. Pushes out 5 bars of power, but I can't see anywhere to transmit it to. I'm not missing anything obvious here, am I? There's nothing... That's weird. I thought maybe I could power up that drone, but nope. There's not a hatch in the ceiling or anything that something's going to drop out of that I need to laser out. There's nothing visible through here. Nope.
Ryan, I found an entire section MacArthur transformed into a makeshift prison.
Jesus.
Violence, destruction, stealing. They're all here together. Why would they do this to each other? Doesn't make any sense.
Maybe some people didn't feel that way anymore.
Maybe. I'll get that down.
So it looks like part of MacArthur's plan was to try to get all of the women pregnant and breed little Martians. And I suppose that does make a kind of sense if you look at it from MacArthur's perspective, because as long as everybody's families are on Earth, they're never going to think of Mars as their home. So, for political reasons, he needed people to think of Mars as their home, and the only way to do that is for to get them to all start families here. And it looks like most people weren't going along with that plan. Still haven't found these drugs that Sarah needs, though. But anyway, yeah, trying
There's
to...
a pharmacy here.
Aha.
I'll circle around and try to find it.
Door's locked. But I can hook it up to the stream point to get us in.
Great, do it.
Trying to make sense of that. The windows. Structural weak points. Massive internal volume that basically means the entire place is going to depressurize if you suffer a pressure loss anywhere. And yes, that does look like something I'm going to have to climb later. The best way I've been able to rationalise it is like this. There are 3 arcs. So Labos in orbit, generating power, at least in first, until it was abandoned and shut down. Habitas, which I'm assuming this is here on the surface, where everybody lived, at least until they could get a permanent colony set up, which never appears to have happened. And then Vita, which, based on the name, I presume was going to provide the food and water for the colony, and which we haven't found yet, but was the one that Isaac stole. The only way the design of this thing makes any kind of sense at all is if it was never supposed to be pressurized for the interplanetary flight from the moon to Mars in the first place. If it was completely automated, and all it had to do was get to the surface of Mars and then wait. And that's not stretching the bounds of possibility at all. I mean, sending automated vessels to Mars is something that we've been doing for quite some time. They're just doing it here on a bigger scale. So that would actually make sense. This ship, Ark Habitas, never had a crew on it. I mean, I don't know this, but I'm just trying to make sense of what we can see. It was never supposed to be crewed, so it didn't need to be pressurized, so you didn't need to worry about a pressure loss, because it was never pressurized in the first place. All it had to do was get to the surface of Mars and then sit there and wait, presumably for the colonists to come out of cryosleep in Ark Labos, up in orbit. What is she talking about? I've just gotten through a vent. Anyway, back to that in a moment. Because we did see the colonists coming out of cryosleep, or we saw a holographic recording of it, up in orbit in Ark Labos. So we know that the colonists, I mean, I just assumed it was some of the colonists. At the time, I just assumed that each Ark had its own colonists in cryosleep. But the fact that this place would never survive an interplanetary journey, and Labos up in orbit looked like it had been designed to do exactly that, would indicate that there was never a crew on this thing in the first place. It was an automated ship. All it had to do was get to the surface. Then they wake everybody up in orbit on Labos, bring them down to the surface in shuttles, pressurize this place, and this is where they live while they're building a permanent colony. That would make sense. And it would also explain the massive bay windows as well. Completely impractical and utterly preposterous in terms of an interplanetary spaceship, but for a habitat on the surface of Mars, make a lot of sense, because I speak from personal experience. If you coop somebody up inside an artificial structure without a view of the horizon for months or years at a time, they have a tendency to go a bit stir crazy and start suffering from cabin fever. So for psychological reasons, you need windows. People need to be able to get out. And if there's a good reason why you can't let them out, because, you know, you're on the surface of Mars, at the very least, people need to be able to see out. Otherwise, they go crazy. Right, here we go. One power transmitter. What is going on here? It's saying I can cut this vent. Why would I need to cut the vent? I'm already in this room. Doesn't make sense. Am I just doing it wrong? I'm not actually doing it wrong. I shouldn't actually be getting the pop-up saying I can cut this vent. This vent can be cut, but not from this side. After a couple of minutes of fruitless lasering, I went to take a look through the door, and yep, there are bolts, but they're on this side. So, okay, fair enough. But that doesn't make sense either, because you'll see what I mean. Okay, so we've got an MPT transmitter and a beam splitter, or extender, or something. So if I move this out, I need to make sure I've got line of sight to the transmitter, and there we go. So I can send it down to the end of the hall as well, because it splits the beam. Right, and now I can send all of that power to the splitter. There we go. Now it still hasn't opened this door, but it has opened that one. And there's a resistor in here. So I can use the resistor to reduce the power output and get that door open. And there we go. Well, it hasn't opened the door, but it's activated the drone input panel, so I can now use Ayla to open the door. And this is what doesn't make a huge amount of sense, because now I don't need to laser the bolts off. I'm in this room. Unless at some point later I'm going to need a way of getting out of this room without having power to the door. I guess we'll see.
That's no ordinary ASC button, is it, Ayla? How are we supposed to...
What was all that about?
That's pretty handy, Ayla. Got any other tricks up your sleeve?
I think I see some medication here. Maybe it has some of that Benton stuff.
Huh. Good job. Perfect. This will work. Huh. And these are antidepressants. And a lot of them. Strange. Wasn't living on Mars the dream for these folks? Alright, I think that might be everything we can find here. I'm gonna bring these up to Sarah, and then we can figure out a way up.
I might have an idea.
You wanna climb that?
Well, it might be the only way if everything else is blocked.
You can't go up alone.
It's fine, I've climbed worse. Look, I'm the only one that can work the stream point, and you need to go and help Sarah.
It's too dangerous.
I'll be fine.
Just be careful.
I will.
Yes, Kat, you're the only one who can operate the stream points, because pointing a thing at a thing is clearly beyond the capabilities of a couple of trained astronauts. Oh well. I am enjoying this game, by the way, but that's not going to stop me laughing at it when it gets ridiculous. Anyway, the laughs continue. In the next episode, I'm just going to laser this now while I can, because I suspect for some reason I'm probably going to need it in the future. But yes, the laughs will continue in the next episode as you get to watch me, maybe not, failing horribly at the climbing minigame, which honestly isn't that hard. So I hope you've enjoyed this one, and I hope you're all having a great weekend. And as always, take care, and I'll catch you next time.